for those of you who pop on here every once in a while, this is Monday Music. If you have questions, I would love to hear them. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out, and then I'll tell you. If you go to the channel, you can tell a lot of it is just about chords, progressions. But what I would like to do in the near future is to be able to express what different types of patterns are, progressions, and then use the chords that we've been learning. I've got a lot of people reaching out and asking why I was doing this, so I guess a brief recap is I was adding a video for one of my students. I neglected to make it as a private video. It went public, and within a matter of moments it had thousands of views. And I thought that to be very curious. So what I did was, I thought there's probably a larger group of individuals that I would be able to reach via music on a multitude of different instruments with a channel. So I'm not trying to be famous, I'm not trying to do anything except for express my love for music and help others get to where they want to be. What I do is I rent a room in Hilo and I teach 2 days a week. I also do a labor company, big island, tiny footprint. And I take pride in what I do. So long story short, if you've got a music question and you are up at this time, for me it's around 6:30, 7 generally when I start these. Sometimes I start them at 8:30, 9, but there's people all over the world. I've got a lot of people that talk to me in Portuguese, so I assume there's a good market there for this. If you don't play an instrument and you watch this channel, kudos on you. All chords are basically explanations of moving patterns up and down, whether it's on piano, ukulele, bass. When you're using your voice, la 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 la. You could also hear do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If you flatten the 3, the 6, the 6, and the 7, you can make a minor. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Knowing that and feeling that gives you emphasis on how to make something feel melodramatic, melancholy, a little sad, if you will. So long story short, we go over a bunch of different chords, we try and talk to each other on this channel, and we keep it kid-friendly, which means if you got something funky to say, you're off the channel. But if you have something cool and creative to say or questions, I don't claim to know anything or everything, so if you have a question, I could get back to you on what that answer is. I watch a lot of stuff like Rick Beato, of course, Music Matters, which is amazing. There are a couple different channels that I'll be highlighting in the next couple months and types of music that I dig on. And I'm also looking for people to give ideas of what they would like to see on a channel. So, if you have those ideas for me, maybe we could get along great. Other than that, Monday mornings I just set up. Got my little trash can of fun here. I've got markers, put out explanations on my sheet of paper. The other day I was talking to a couple people that I play with, and I had a great time writing out one of my tunes. So when we're doing this, we're just going to repeat this, I think 2, 3 times, yeah. And then that third time, after we go through this, this is our, I guess we're going to have markers here, why not use them? This is going to be my 1, and then the next time we go through, we're going to have a different 2. So the 2 is going to have something like this, which goes to the same thing, but it's got like this C sharp minor, and then instead of going to the F minor, it goes to it F sharp major. Totally changes the way that things feel. There's then a quick 2 bars of 3/4, or you can count it as 6/4 as 1 2, but I like to separate my bars here into a D and a B. So if I had this count, I'd have 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4, and I play that 3 times, and then I come around to that one time, 2 times, 3 times, and then the last time that I go through this whole thing in this progression, which I'd start my 1 over again, I would come to this C sharp and then the F sharp, giving it the 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what I do with my students, and then generally when I'm just playing or practicing, I do exercises like this so I can count out the measure, the meter, and then see a visual representation of what's trying to happen with my fingers and inside my head. So that's basically what music lessons are in a nutshell. There's a couple of different things that we go over, like what the grand staff is, how to read notes, knowing that this is a staff and that we're able to put a treble clef or a bass clef on it. We have different notes that actually arrange in here. And what we try and do as teachers is facilitate the idea that, you know, if you're on a guitar, or if you're on a ukulele, or if you're on a bass, you're still going to have the rudiments of these ideas. So the bass, if we're playing, let's say in the key of C, we'd have our C, our open D, our E, our F, our open G, our A. And since it doesn't go up, you could go up the string, but we'll leave it there for right now. With the ukulele, if you're just jamming out, you can play a C major over the top of that, a C major with the chords. So what I do is I try to tell people about the root, the third, and then the open fifth up here. So each one of these will be super special, and we talk about those being part of this correlation of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our amazing 7 diminished. The process unto which that I teach has 3 folds. We have one exercise where you just do absolutely nothing except for move up all your notes in half steps or minor seconds. So when you're playing on every instrument, you would quite literally hit every single fret with all 4 of your fingers and keep working those up. Do, 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 do. So that's what I call my morning warm-ups. So when I'm playing, I kind of have a progression that I do, and then I've got an idea that I do. Week, week. In and of all these concepts and ideas, what I try and maintain is thinking about this. So if I'm in the key of C major, which has no sharps, no flats, I think of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, diminished, and C. What this does musically, if you've never seen this before, it allows you to spell out the idea. And then when you spell out the idea, you get a little bit more creativity with what you're going for. I just realized that might be upside down. So you get a little bit more creativity of what you're going for. I think it's really cool to be able to see those notes. So when we're warming up and talking about notes and scales and stuff, if we're in the treble clef here, we would have, when we have this, we've got our G note. G goes up to the next space, which is going to be an A. The next line, middle line, is great to remember as being the B right in the middle, because C is going to be right above there, and you see the process by which this is going right now. Every single one of these has a special place. So what happens when we see that there are no sharps and no flats right in this area when we look at a piece of music? The bottom line is we're understanding we don't have to have anything accented, meaning no sharps, no flats. They're all natural notes. We don't write the little natural note on there because that seems like a long explanation. Same way as when we say G7, we mean G dominant 7. It has that minor 7th. So when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this 7 is a major 7. The note right in between your minor 6 and your major 7, minor 7th. So what we do is we call it G7 rather than G dominant 7 because it's a little wordy. So what happens is when we go up and down on these, well, I mean, F goes to G, correct? So the next line we're going to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G is that open space. They keep going all the way up into a higher octave, which, sopranos, piccolos, stuff like that do it with the mezzo soprano. When you go down into here, you're approaching upon what we call the bass clef. In that middle region, if you've ever seen a piece of music, the grand staff, which actually has another full set of staff down here, 5 lines, what they do is they tie this together, which makes those two part of sight reading. Underneath here, if we were to keep going down with these notes, we would have right below that, my 2 marker system, another line here, we're going to have our E, not our E, our F. The F is on the space. Our bottom line is going to be the E. The space right below it is a D, and that makes this line right here a C, which means if you ever see a line in between these two, this note that is played right here is always going to be a C. It's actually a C4, meaning that it is the middle note on the piano that you go for, where your octaves go. It's also the lowest note on the ukulele, this string right here. So what we do is we associate these notes, and if you go all the way from the lowest note down here, which is on the bass clef, will be a G line. Bass clef is actually in an F, which means this line right here is the F. Right above that would be the G. That line above that would be the A, above that the P, so on and so forth. If we were going to go down in that fashion, right below an F, A, B, C, D, E, so we've got an E right there. In front of that, we've got this D. If we keep going with this process, we get all the notes that are on these lines, and then inevitably, it ends up lining up back here to this bottom line, which we had already talked about as being G. So if you see notes like this, let's say we were just going to take a C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, so that's 7 notes. Get rid of my 2 and 4, and I'm left with 1, 3, and 5, which means in the key of C major, we would have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. There isn't any accents. There aren't any of those. So none of these are sharps or flats. So when I look at this line, I can quite literally start from this C down here, yeah? Mark this C right here, go to an E, and then a G. And if I were to play this in a 4/4 measure, I would have triple it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So these concepts that we have when we move notes together, if we were just working with just the treble clef and I was trying to see what a C major was, knowing that this is G, I could see G, A, B, C. Since when I'm playing a C major, I need 3 notes, C, E, G. If I were to put this C right here, skip this line, put a note right here, skip this line and put a note right here, I would have a C note, an E note, and a G note. Therefore, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These 3 notes, when tied together, make a stacked chord, and that is a triad. So what happens is when we add any other note to this, like let's add C, D, E, F, G, A. If we add the A anywhere on here, it becomes a chord. This particular chord would be called a C6 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A is the 6th note away from C. So if I know that this is G and this is A, if I put an A note right here and tie that together, that means that is a C6 with an A on the bottom. Sometimes you will see C6 written like this, which just means it's a C major chord that has an A on the bottom. It's the lowest note. It's kind of weird on an ukulele because you can't do that because the C is the lowest note. So what you would have is like quite literally C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, and then A all the way up here. But when you play that chord, the lowest note is the A. Therefore, it's an inversion. I hope any or all that made sense. If it doesn't, check out the channel. There's a couple of videos explaining it. There's a plethora of stuff on the internet. If you just Google any words that I just said, do 5-10 minutes of little research, the definitions become a little bit simpler. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I get on here and do a couple of pop quizzes. And then Mondays and Saturdays, I teach. So Mondays, I do this to answer questions. If anybody has some questions, I will check it right now. If anybody's on. All right, does not appear that anybody is. So if you do watch this in the future and you have a question, give a hey-ho and maybe subscribe to the channel if you care. If not, I'll be here. Thanks for being. Hello.